So I'm telling you, Shane, listen, you are the producer on this show. The fact that you are not out there starting Roma Dunze, what's the matter with you? You've heard me talk about this time and time again that he was eventually going to be the number one wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. It was only a matter of time before he took it over. I thought perhaps it would take a couple of weeks, that perhaps we would be midway through the season. You're like, I think Roma Dunze is sneaking. No, it's pretty much right now. It's Roma Dunze. He is the number one guy. I even put that out on Twitter where I was like, hey, is he the number one guy? And people are like, is this a serious question? Like, of course he is. Everybody wondering how bad this is going to be for DJ Moore. So moving forward, as you adjust your rankings, realize Roma Dunze is the number one wide receiver for the Chicago Bears and adjust accordingly. And so, you know what? Don't ever make that mistake again, Shane, and go ahead and start the show.
Welcome to our Fantasy Island.
Welcome to Fantasy Island, a great night to talk about fantasy football because not only does our team, the Chicago Bears, not only are they terrible, our fantasy teams might be worse, but here to break it down, go over some of the injury news, some of the waiver wire dilemmas, is the great Kendall Valenzuela, who you know from Fantasy Life. She rocks it every day from 10 Eastern to 12 noon Eastern. I missed you today, Kendall. You know what? I'm glad that we have you on tonight.
Good.
But how are you doing?
I'm good. You're down on the Bears? Come on. We can't be down on that. No, you're fine. Everything's fine. No, we were good. Adam Ronas and I were good on SiriusXM today. We were overreacting. Overreaction Monday. We got some injuries to talk about. Yeah, my fantasy team is allergic to scoring points on some of them. It's fine. No, it's totally fine. How are you?
Who has been the biggest culprit? Like who has like hurt you the most so far this season?
Who hasn't really? No, I'm just kidding. It's been like the AJ Brown stuff has been pretty frustrating, to be totally honest. Like, especially for a team that we expected to have to pass more, and that just hasn't been the case over the first couple of weeks. I think it does get better, but like having AJ Brown, having any like the Jacksonville Jaguars and Brian Thomas Jr. has also been another one where I was really high on him because my expectations for Trevor Lawrence were to be at least a little bbit better. And the other part is that like now he's allergic to contact, and I guess he has a wrist injury, and that's why he hasn't been coming down with these catches. And I'm like, okay, it just doesn't look good. So yeah, it's like a whole lot of the guys that we picked in the top 5 rounds. Nothing worse, Adam, nothing worse.
It's so bad because I know that you and I were both simpatico with Brian Thomas Jr. I felt like we had to wage war with people because, number one, a lot of people were expecting Travis Hunter to come out here and do really well. Like, he's taking all the touches. He's going to take away all the looks. We're like, no. It's going to be better for Brian Thomas Jr. The good news is that the Travis Hunter people don't have any opportunity to victory lap either. So we haven't had to wear that, but it hasn't been great for our fantasy football teams. I will tell you, I'm in a guillotine league and 20 teams. And so my strategy, especially in the early going, is find a quarterback who is going to get some good matchups in the first 2 weeks to give you a safe floor so that, hey, I can weather the first 2 weeks and then start to really adjust my lineup accordingly. And I picked Joe Burrow, and I feel like I chose poorly.
No, you didn't choose poorly. It's just that, the turf toe. First of all, I think we need to name it something other than turf toe because that makes it sound way too cute and like adorable. You're just like, no, it's turf toe, like a couple weeks, right? Wrong. 3 months, like 3 months. And to be honest, and it's not to be just like a Debbie Downer, but if the Bengals are losing and they have no chance to get to the playoffs, we're not going to see him again this season because there will be no reason for them to put him back out there. So yeah, Joe Burrow. He was one of my favorite picks as well because he was going outside the top. I mean, he was still in that elite category, right? But he was the last guy after, Jalen Hurts is gone, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels. And then you're like, oh, perfect. I'm still going to get Joe Burrow who can give me these elite numbers. So it sucks. There's nothing we can do about it. Turf toe got him, and he's 3 months minimum. It sounds like he's going to get the surgery for it. So I know Brock Purdy's dealing with a similar, turf toe injury, but obviously not to the same extent. So I don't know, Jake Browning season. Who says no, Adam? It's just so sick and gross. But I do think, to give Jake Browning some credit, we've seen him in the past. He's had to do this before, 2023 more specifically. And some of the stats that he has, 80.2 PFF overall grade, 2023 to 24. 23rd out of 52 quarterbacks with at least 400 snaps. He's got a good team around him too. Like he still has the Jamar Chase, T. Higgins is there, everyone else. So it should be okay, but yeah, it's not the best. It's not Joe Burrow. No one's going to replicate him. So we can cry later about it.
It's so difficult. But speaking of Browning, like obviously he's a good quarterback. We've got enough of a sample size to feel comfortable. I think the biggest question is because like his next matchups are not ideal. He's going up against Minnesota, Denver, Detroit, and Green Bay. I think 3 of those 4 are on the road. Detroit is the home game. What do we do though? Is it a big detriment to Jamar Chase? Is it huge against T. Higgins and Chase Brown? Obviously, like he might be a streamable option at some point this season, but what about the guys that we actually drafted there? How badly does it affect them?
Yeah, I think Jamar Chase is still going to do Jamar Chase things, right? He seems like the kind of receiver with the talent and just overall athleticism, how great he is that he could be quarterback proof. I think the one that I'm definitely, and I don't have my rankings up yet, I'm going to update them as soon as tonight's over, but I think T. Higgins is the one that's going to take the hit, kind of going around more of the range of like George Pickens and where some of those other guys are, which isn't bad, right? But from where he was, I mean, week 1, it didn't look good, but I had him ranked inside the top 12 receivers for me. And so, yeah. I think T. Higgins takes a hit. I think, like you said, Brown takes a hit as well. But you're still to me, they're still startable. I want to see how it looks. But you said their schedule. I mean, it's not amazing. The only thing that we know is that the defense is still going to be bad for them. So really, they're probably in some of these situations going to be playing catch up, playing from behind because of Browning now. And that's the only thing that can maybe save us and give us some more fantasy points. So when he went in there, T. Higgins at least, walked away with some good fantasy numbers, better than the week prior. But yeah, you have to downgrade most guys not named Jamar Chase on this offense, unfortunately.
I know it's such a huge bummer. It is one of those things that, you can't plan for. I think a lot of people who went like running back right off the top. T. Higgins ended up being that guy in the 3rd round that they ended up with like, well, T. Higgins is my wide receiver 1. Now you're out there scrambling. And speaking of scrambling, Jaden Daniels now, that knee injury at the end of that game, you saw it, you saw the hit and you're like, oh, he looks fine. But now his week 3 is in question. What do we do? So obviously Jaden Daniels, if he's out, you don't play him. But what about somebody like Terry McLaurin? How badly does that hurt him?
Yeah, it hurts him a lot. If it's Marcus Mariota, again, we've seen him in this spot before, and it's not to knock Marcus Mariota, but I think in the rankings, it's a lot different talking about Jamar Chase and where, you put him in the rankings compared to a guy like Terry McLaurin. So I think the whole offense as a whole is a downgrade. And then obviously, I think Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is still going to get his because of the injury, unfortunately, to Austin Eckler. He's going to be out for the remainder of the season, which is just such unfortunate news. But yeah, I think you just have to downgrade him as a whole. Deebo Samuel's been putting up good numbers too. I still think they can perform. We're just not going to put him in the same ranks that we did over the last couple of weeks. This is still a team that you say, hey, I want any piece of it. But yeah, if it's between Jaden Daniels just sitting for a week and making sure he's fully healthy, I think all Jaden Daniels managers are going to be like, please just do that. So we don't have to worry about going to the waiver wire for yet another quarterback. But yeah, I'm definitely going to downgrade probably everyone on that offense if it is Mariota going in week 3.
Yeah, weirdly though, I do sort of like Deebo because, one of the things that made him so great in his early time in San Francisco was that his ability to run the football. And we've seen a little bit of that so far in Washington. So I'm sort of encouraged that perhaps Deebo Samuel will go out there and get some stuff, and hopefully he can deliver a fantasy championship for some people out there. And speaking of championship, Crown Champs just dropped the hottest thing in all of fantasy football. We're talking about crowns, scepters, rings, robes, all kinds of cool stuff. Crown Champs, listen, so many times you win a championship, you get like a plastic little trophy, you get a dumb medal, maybe you get a GG in the group chat. That ain't it. This we're talking about Crown Champs. Listen, you can go out there and win your fantasy league, or you can rule it. Go to crownchampscompany.com. That's crownchampscompany.com. Sign up. It's less than $3 per person in your league, and you can end up playing for a brand new real crown, scepter, all that good stuff. Go to crownchampscompany.com. Tell them Adam Rank sent you, and you will get 15% off your order. Fantasy football. Don't rule it. No, don't win it. Rule it. Sorry. I've been out of sorts today. I left
long
my
day.
house. I left my house today without my computer. So I've been like on a
What?
wing and a prayer.
Oh
I
my
know, like a
God. How did you do
bottle.
that? That's like leaving without a lifeline. That's
You know
crazy.
what? It has been terrible because NFL Fantasy Live was an hour earlier today. So you're like, no, we got to get up to the studio. And then Cynthia and I kind of trade off of who's in studio and who's not in studio. But they're like,
Mhm.
well, not really. I know you were here last week, but you need to be back here again today. And I'm like, okay. And that's my fault. I can read the emails a little bit better, but I'm the kind of guy who takes things for granted. Like, of course, like it would have been 10 seconds to double check on Friday. Nope, I won't do that. I'm too busy setting
Brutal.
fantasy lineups. And so and then we got to work today. I want to talk to you about the waiver wire.
Yeah.
I want to start at that quarterback position. What are we doing? So if somebody has Jaden Daniels, JJ McCarthy is another player who's going to be missing some time. Obviously, with Brock Purdy last week, you had to make your adjustments. You weren't here. Oh, we didn't even do a show because of the Bears
2
game.
weeks.
But
Yeah.
I was all about Matt. Let me ask you because I want to victory lap this one a little bit.
Yeah.
I was all about Mac Jones last week. I thought I went on the
Right.
NFL Fantasy Live. I think did you or Adam talk about this on Fantasy Life? We're like Mac Jones, like it's a pretty good match with him in San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
What did you think about Mac Jones, his 3 touchdowns this week against the Saints? Was it just the Saints, or is it Mac Jones actually going out there doing some things?
I want to say I hope it's Mac Jones because maybe some people picked him up, but no, Adam and I were talking about the potential just because of the matchup, right? We were like, oh, okay, it's against the Saints, so realistically, like how bad could it be? And so I think one of our overreactions today, if I was looking around, was that Mac Jones will be the next Kyle Shanahan quarterback to get a big contract, which again is a total overreaction. That's what we do on Mondays. It's an overreaction, but he looked good. 26 of 39, 279, 3 touchdowns, 113.1 rating. Like it looked good. I don't want to say that he's going to do it every time, but he was serviceable, right? That's all you want out of a quarterback that you get off the waiver wire. Throws 10 plus air yards on throws of 10 plus air yards. He went 8 for 14, 151. So I think it was the product of the environment. But again, what are you going to ask for if you're picking someone up off the waiver wire? Like you just want them to perform, and that's what Mac Jones did. So if you don't have a Daniel Jones on the waiver wire, if you don't have a Michael Penix Jr., who's to say that you shouldn't maybe look in that direction? It's bleak out there. I'm going to be honest. Like with all, like Justin Fields is in concussion protocol. You hope he's able to get through that. And then, Brock Purdy's going to be out another week. Jaden Daniels might not play. Joe Burrow's out for the foreseeable future. It's just, it's brutal. But I think you should victory lap that one because Mac Jones was a good call out.
Yeah, it's funny because the kids never come back to that one. They'll find your other videos, they'll find your other statements, and they'll find anything like, oh, remember when you liked Kamani Vidal or whatever it is,
right?
And throw that in your face. Like, how will I ever trust you? Years ago, Kendall, years ago, there was something because like when I go on these shows, all the shows that I do, Fantasy Live or whatever, if I believe it or not, I will shoot my mouth off and I will get myself in the hot water. I will go out there and if I say something dumb, I hold myself accountable. So years ago, we were doing we do the Fantasy Live League, and something about my 5th round draft pick. I had gone through a series of years where my 5th round pick was always a bust. And I forget who the guy was. And I'm like, and I was like so adamant. I'm like, if this 5th round pick, and it was like, there's probably somebody dumb like Cordell Patterson or something, because this was years ago. I go, if this guy busts, like next year, I'll take Steven Gostkowski in the 5th round and just go with it. And then, of course, the guy that I picked in the 5th round sucked. And then the following year, I had to pick Gostkowski. And people still will be like, oh, you're the guy who took a kicker in the 5th round. And you're like, that was sort of a fantasy punishment that I was living up to.
Yeah.
Like that. I should be applauded for that, not besmirched like the way that I was. But sorry, that was a sidebar for another day.
Hilarious. You're like, it's part of the bit. People like look at my receipts. It's the bit. I applaud you for sticking to it, to be honest.
Like, and it's like, listen, would I have done that in the league that we were playing for serious money? Probably not. But at the same time, that's what the Fantasy Live League exists for. And I told everybody, don't do what I'm about to do because it's completely stupid. And I have to own what I'm doing. What is not stupid is going out and hitting the waiver wire this week. Again, quarterbacks, you mentioned a couple of them. at the quarterback position, assuming like obviously like, hey, if Lamar Jackson's on your waiver wire, pick him up. But of the people that you expect to be on the waiver, is Michael Penix somebody that's widely available in your leagues, or are you going to have to go even deeper?
No, he's not usually widely available. He shouldn't be. Unless people like just decided to rage drop for whatever reason, or they said I need to make room on my bench for someone else, which does happen. Like that's why I like to say any of these guys' names, because you never know what kind of league some people are in. So if you have them, if you have Lamar Jackson, you don't need to talk to us. You can go get Lamar Jackson off the waiver wire. But Michael Penix Jr., he's rostered in 28% of leagues on ESPN the last time I looked. So I just think that, listen, if you just want a streamer, if you're looking around and you're saying, I do not want to go and get, anyone from the Browns, I'm a little bit nervous about a Marcus Mariota. Like, I understand it. Browning does have a bad matchup, but the Falcons play the Carolina Panthers in week 3. So if there is ever a time to maybe pick up a streamer, it would be Michael Penix Jr. And the other thing is that his receivers are healthy. We didn't know what London was going to look like, Mooney coming in. So I think that's a pretty good part of it too. So yeah, I don't mind him. He's probably not available, but if he is, pick him up. Same with Daniel Jones.
I was going to ask you, is Daniel Jones, is this going to be one of those things where, you know what, he went up against a great defense. He went up against the Broncos. I think that was a shocker to a lot of people, myself included. Is this going to be one of those situations where like, well, he's been good against these teams, and then the week that we pick him up, he turns back into Daniel Jones?
Probably. I mean, they're playing the Tennessee Titans on the road, so probably. That's what Adam said this morning. Adam Ronis, he was like, oh, well, he's going to suck this week because everyone's getting him. We talked about him a couple weeks ago, but I don't know. You have to pay attention at this point, right? Because against the Broncos defense, I thought he was just totally going to slip, flounder, whatever you want to say. I just thought he was going to fall off, because I think that was the expectation for most people. And for him to be able to do what he did, like, we kind of have to start paying attention now. He's kind of in that category or range. And again, it's only 2 weeks, but we've seen these quarterbacks go to different teams and start to have success in their careers. Like, we saw it with Baker Mayfield. We saw it with Sam Darnold most recently. Like, these are guys we have to pay attention to. And what he brings potentially on the ground is the other part. Like, him getting touchdowns on the ground is something that you say, okay, you don't usually get to pick someone up like this off the waiver wire. So again, it could be a thing where in 5 weeks we're looking back and we're laughing at ourselves, but at least we tried. The one thing you don't want to do is that if you need a quarterback and you say, I just don't want to spend the money on Daniel Jones, like, he's probably not anything. He's given us 2 like 21, 22 plus fantasy point performances. So at that point, he's making us pay attention, and he could be one of those quarterbacks that did revive his career. He's playing with the best team he's ever played with. So maybe he's just, I don't know, maybe he's just good, which is kind of crazy to say in like 2025.
He was, what was he, the 6th overall pick, something crazy like that? Like, it was good. What about his former team, though? Because all last week, I spent so much time, like, and a lot of bandwidth on so many different platforms saying, like, please get rid of Russell Wilson. Please go with Jameis Winston. Please, like, do anything other than having Russell Wilson start. And the reason that I did, because I'm like, at least Jameis will just throw the ball up and let Malik Neighbors go out there and make plays, which is exactly what Russell Wilson did. I think more so than Daniel Jones, this is going to be the one that screws us, because I think are we in on Russell Wilson? Is this something that's sustainable? Especially what if you have Malik Neighbors, though? Would you possibly want to go pick up Russell Wilson, or is this just like, that's the Dallas Cowboys, I'm not trusting this?
Yeah, it might be the Dallas. Sorry, Adam Ronis. It might be the Dallas Cowboys defense. It's just that, like, what are we doing? That game was crazy too, by the way. It took years off my life because I picked him in a survivor pool. So I was like, please, Dallas, do anything here. But yeah, I'm not. And listen, I could be wrong on it. I did not recommend Russell Wilson on the waiver wire this week. I just think that there's better options out there. And I think that this was maybe a flash in the pan where he was just, I mean, he was given so much scrutiny, and I think it was totally deserved for how he looked in the first week. So you come out week 2 and you say, okay, I'm going to give Malik Neighbors. He had a career high 37.7 PPR fantasy points. So it was a back and forth game. It was a high scoring game. Like, we're not going to see that. Like, the amount of plays that those teams ran in that game going into overtime was just something that we're not going to see. So I'm not betting on Russell Wilson. And as a Seahawks fan and a former Seahawk of Russell Wilson, I love Russ. I was like, let Russ cook, but I think give it a few weeks, as many weeks as they can to get through the tough schedule, right? Because that, like, I've been saying Jackson Dart could be a waiver wire hero this year, but like that's a tough schedule. They have the toughest schedule in the NFL. So even throwing Jackson Dart in there, he's going to face a lot of, like, they play the Eagles twice in the next 4 weeks, I think, or 5 weeks. Like, it's brutal in there.
Yeah, it is. It is going to be tough. And like watching Russell Wilson, like, come back to life, so to speak. It reminds me of that scene from The Notebook where the old lady, she like snaps out of it and she's telling James Garner, like, hey, how much time do I have left? Like, how I'm back. Like, how much time am I going to get before I forget who you are? I feel like that was Russell Wilson right there. Like oh my God, I'm Russell Wilson. I can throw the football deep like this. How long is this going to last? How long can I just throw YOLO balls to Malik Neighbors and make it work? Because I was all about it. I was all about it. And it's so funny too. Like, and I thought where we were watching the game yesterday, I thought I'm like, why are there so many Cowboy fans here? But yeah, it was all the people in like the Circa Survivor who were like, we took the Cowboys this week.
Exactly. I was like, sweating. Not you comparing Russell Wilson to the woman with dementia in The Notebook. That's so bad.
Is that good? You can use that tomorrow.
No, it's funny. I'll bring it up. Adam will say I'm a bad person. It'll be great. I'll be like, no, it was Adam Rank. It wasn't me.
I could have gone darker with that, but no, that's the perfect analogy. If I was teaching analogies in school, this is the perfect analogy. This might be the best one that I've ever made. Because that's exactly what I like. That's exactly what it reminded me of. It's so crazy. But yeah, there were a bunch of people. Yeah. So it was weird being in a Chicago Bears bar and having so many people rooting for the Dallas Cowboys. And speaking of Chicago Bears bars, where are you watching the Bears game this week? Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys are coming to town. If you can't get to Soldier Field, I implore you to get to Twisted Shamrock. Oh my gosh, one of the best bars in all of Chicago. They've got amazing places, amazing big screen televisions. They've got a private party room. They got a huge bar they've got a huge TV over the bar. They've got a killer patio. Take advantage of patio season while it's still there. They've got awesome fans. Like it's the best crowd, the best wait staff, best bartenders, all that stuff. And I gotta tell you, Kendall, the best old fashioned in the entirety of the Midwest. And I'm getting close to spreading that to the entire Western United States. I have not made that. I've not made that yet, but Twisted Shamrock makes the best old fashioned. Go there and try it. So if you're in Chicago this weekend, if you are not going to Soldier Field, in a way, I don't blame you. I have a friend of mine who's flying in to Chicago to go do a great trip where he's going to go see the White Sox, Notre Dame, and the Bears. And I said, your first stop has got to be Twisted Shamrock. You won't be disappointed. Be sure to check it out, especially if you fly into Midway. It is worth the price of admission, which is free. So go out there and check it out. And thanks to them for all their continued sponsorship of this fine program. So the waiver wire, what are outside of the quarterback position? Who are some of the hot names on the waiver wire this week?
You know, I wrote up quite a few, fantasylife.com, for everyone to go and check it out. 100% free, by the way. But I like, Alec Ironmanner, I think, is someone maybe we've talked to. I think you and I have talked about him before, but I wrote him up preseason. I just said, hey, this is a guy that you just have to hang on to and be patient. He's still a guy that you have to hang on to and be patient. He's a rookie with a rookie quarterback in a not so great offense, but he's only 8% rostered across Yahoo leagues. And, when I look at him, he had really good utilization week 1. 28% target share, 82% route participation. He was tied with Ridley Okonkwo for the team lead in, I think he had 6 targets, 4 receptions. Like, it's all working out for him. And we don't usually get to see rookies have that kind of workload coming into the first few weeks of the season. You can't start him. He's just not there unless it's a deep flex start and you're in a really bad spot. But I do think Alec Ironmanner for the Titans is someone that you want to be paying attention to. If you can get him on your bench, I like him. He's good. He could be good with Cam Ward.
No, I like that one. Actually, as a matter of fact, one of my friends picked him up in one of our leagues this weekend. It's a 14-team league, so we're a little bit stretched thin. And he's like, you know what? I got a feeling. And I go, and I blame you. If I lose this week, because you've been giving tips to my friends, I'm going to be very upset. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
But it's a great call.
Yeah.
What about Cam Ward, though? I know that we were talking about some of the other quarterbacks. I went back and watched Cam Ward in week 1, and I'm like, okay, I know that when you looked at the box score and everything, it didn't look impressive. But I'm like, okay, he's got some ability. He's making some plays. I thought this week, he made another huge step up. Again, considering your situation, is this somebody to keep an eye on the waiver wire as well?
I think you can keep an eye on him. I think there's right now better options because we're still talking about a rookie quarterback that had pretty low expectations coming into the season. I feel like a lot of people weren't talking about Cam Ward, and it's understandable, right? When you look at just the quarterbacks that came through in this year's draft, it wasn't as sexy as some of the other ones. But I think Cam Ward, like, they take on the Colts, they take on the Texans, the Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Patriots for their next 5. And so I don't think it would shock anyone. It wouldn't shock me, at least, if we said, oh, Cam Ward's really putting it together, right? Because this offense, again, it's not blowing you out of the water, but I still like Chigakonkwo. I think he is a solid receiver. I think that, Calvin Ridley was someone I have a lot of shares of. And then you add Alec Iomanner, who could really step up in this offense, and you say, okay, this is actually looking pretty good for him. He's still a rookie. He's still figuring it out. We're going to have highs and lows throughout the whole season. So I would keep an eye on him. I don't think we're there yet. It's one of those things where if you need to ensure, like if you lost to Joe Burrow, you probably don't want to have to turn to a Cam Ward just yet. But I wouldn't be surprised here in a couple weeks, Adam, if we're like, look at that. Look at Cam Ward putting it together. We're not shocked. That would be fun.
No, it would be. And I talked to a couple of guys from the Orange Bowl Boys podcast. And because I was trying to figure this out when I was doing my own research for my mock draft with a twist coming into the NFL season, and like on the draft, not just fantasy football. And so I asked these guys, I go, how good is Cam Ward? And they're like, better than Jaden Daniels. And I'm like, okay, thanks for the honest opinion. Like, thank you for not being hyperbolic or anything like that. But he has been impressive. I think he's done some nice things. I don't know. In a deeper league, if I've lost Joe Burrow, that it's going to be somebody that I'll probably try to go, because I feel like him, and I really like what you were talking about with Jackson Dart, because I'm in a dynasty league. I'm in a dynasty league with these guys like Brett Coleman and Field Yates and some of these other guys. Who is the other? Some of the Kyle Yates had put together this super league. Yeah. So I don't know why, like Mike Golick's in it. Like, it's pretty cool. I brought in my friend as a co-manager because he always loves this kind of stuff. When I'm like, hey, I was talking to Mike Golick today. He's like, tell me more. He was like, I work for the NFL Network, and I've rubbed elbows with people. And then the other week, I should say, he texts me. He's like, Kendall Valenzuela is on your podcast. Good kid. I'm like, this is it. This is where you are. Like, you're more. I'm like, hey, I go, I saw Gerald McCoy. He's like, yeah. But Kendall Valenzuela, please tell me she's cool. I'm like, obviously she's cool, or she wouldn't be on the show. So that's the kind of company that you're running around with. Was there anybody else on the waiver wire that we need to take note of? Was there somebody else? Yeah,
I'll go more rapid fire with these guys, but I think that Alec Iomanner, I said that, all the quarterbacks we talked about, Troy Franklin, if you haven't been paying attention, like the drumbeat for Troy Franklin, not only from me, but it looks like from the Denver Broncos, is getting, it's starting to get louder and louder by the week. So I think Troy Franklin, it's picking up, and I think it should, because we really expected that. I expected that last season with the connection from college. And then you're like, ooh, did you guys actually go to college together? Did you play together? Are you sure? But yeah, it's consistently getting better. So I think Troy Franklin is one of those guys where, again, you'll look at the box score, you'll look at the stats and be like, ugh, really? Like this guy? But I mean, 89 yards and a touchdown, led the Broncos with 9 total targets. And you look at him, he played 44 of the 45 snaps in 3 receiver sets, 5 of the 6 snaps in 2 receiver sets. So again, the utilization is there for Troy Franklin. Not incredible to start right away. If you're in a deep format, then maybe, but I really like Troy Franklin. If for some reason too, Bashal Tutin is on your waiver wire, he shouldn't be. Because they shipped off Tank, and so you say, okay, he's the running back 2 in this offense, so I like him. Are you believing Wan'Dale Robinson? I wrote him up, and I felt so gross about it. So I moved him down. I said, the other guys, if you're so desperate, he felt like a Calvin Austin to me, where I'm like, I'm going to write him up, but then the next week he's not going to give us. I mean, they're just not going to be at that pace again. So that's why I know a lot of people like Wan'Dale. I put him in a little footnote, but I just don't love it. So I think there's other good receivers like Iomanner, like Troy Franklin, that you could go and get this week.
That is going to be one that everybody's going to be waiting to throw into your face and be like,
I
"Oh,
know.
see, you dogged him, and he's the new T. Higgins or something." I've seen people say that. I'm like, let's
Okay, if
slow
I'm
down.
wrong, I'm wrong. You know me. I'll come on here and I'll say I was wrong.
100%.
But sorry, Wandale, just not this week. I can't do it yet.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm not going to be I'm not going to be spending any fab or whatever
Yeah.
waiver wire position or anything like that. But before we let you go, I do want to get your opinion on what I was talking about at the top of the show about Rome Odunze. I think it's pretty obvious to people who follow the Chicago Bears, but are you, as somebody who also follows the NFL at large, do you feel like it's now a done deal that Rome Odunze is the number one receiver for the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, it's Rome Odunze time. I'm so happy. I was just a year too early. Just kidding. I was totally wrong last season. I thought, because I loved his talent so much coming out of college, that I was like, hey, Keenan Allen, doesn't matter if he's there. He can maybe, press for some of his targets. And that obviously didn't happen. You ship Keenan Allen off, and now all of a sudden you're looking around and you're saying, wow, we've seen Rome Odunze with a total of 20 targets over his first 2 games. So it's one of those things where you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. So I'm fully with you. I got how much I love Rome Odunze. I got my mom. She loves Rome Odunze so much. Last year, I got her a Rome Odunze jersey for Mother's Day. And so she's worn it. She's worn it every Sunday. And I've said to her, I'm like, Mom, you have to keep this going now, because Rome Odunze on all my fantasy squads is doing well. So you need to keep this going. So we are a Rome Odunze household here from Washington. So that's kind of why. But yeah, I do think Rome Odunze, you can move him up. I've moved him up as a wide receiver too. And I'm looking to pretty much start him where I can. As much as the Bears might be, not looking as good for people, and it's okay. Rome Odunze at least looks like that guy.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that your house is a Rome Odunze house.
I love Rome Odunze in this house.
We do.
I
love it. I love having them because I had so many fantasy teams with the team name Sublime with Rome Odunze. So I just thought it was,
Nice.
I'm like, I got to go out there and continue to draft him. But look, I want to thank you for your time this evening. Sorry it took us a little bit to get everything sorted. We were, Sammy's on the road. So Shane was sitting here working with us. I know there's a couple of Monday night games going on, so I want to allow you to go out there and catch all that good stuff. But want to let everybody know that Kendall Valenzuela will be there with Adam Ronis daily, Monday through Friday on SiriusXM, the NFL, the Fantasy Life app as well. But go check her out on SiriusXM. It is a great listen. It is 7 a.m. Well, it's 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
2 hours every day. It's a great show. And we thank you again so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I can't wait to talk waivers with you in a couple weeks.
I can't wait for it. All right. So for Kendall, I'm Adam. And Shane, just go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.